What is good, YouTube family? Welcome back to Creativity with Purpose, where we create with purpose on purpose. My name is Bulani Daga, and I'm so glad to have you here. I haven't done a Dear Diary visual. What? I'm so used to doing visual diary episodes that I just got my tongue tied, but I haven't done a Dear Diary session in a very long time, and I thought I need to do one. So this is that. And if you're new here, Dear Diary sessions are just basically journal entries that I share with you guys here. Just speak about what's been on my mind, what I've been thinking about, and you guys can comment down below and share with me what are some of your thoughts concerning these things that I'll be speaking about. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So yeah, the first thing that's been on my mind lately is, just some of the questions that some of the hard and important questions that we ought to be asking ourselves as people, living people. I assume these are questions that we should be asking ourselves, as a person. I think for me, the past, as a person, of course, what are you? If you're not a person, what are you? But anyways, I think for me, the past few year and the past last year was just like quite a hectic year in terms of growing pains, and just and when I say growing pains, I mean, like, when you're in a position where you are just forced to grow from certain things, grow from certain experiences and circumstances, and though they have not come in the best way, and though they're not the greatest of experiences, and you'd rather have not gone through those things, but I just think that I've gotten to a point where I've recognized the perspective that I ought to have when it comes to challenges and certain trials and tribulations that, we face as people here on earth. I just think that, just having that viewpoint of, those things are bringing lessons. They're opportunities of lessons. And sometimes if we don't learn certain lessons, they're going to come in different circumstances and situations. They're basically there to develop our character in a way. That's how I'm viewing it. That's how I see it. Even I think with the perspective that I have from my relationship with God, I just understand that yes, in this world we're going to face certain things that are difficult and things that we don't wish to experience, but once we have that perspective of those things coming to grow us and those things being character development for us and spiritually edifying, I think we begin to see things from a different perspective. Instead of seeing the glass as half empty, you begin to see it as, half full. And so I think I just really been thinking about perspectives and, the power that perspectives that we hold have on situations that we go through. For me, what's just been on my mind is, what are some of the perspectives and the values and the ideals and the things that we hold so dear to ourselves that have actually been influenced by things that do not, that do not represent the thing or the people that we are trying to be, or the things that we're trying to contend for, in our lives, the things that we say that we stand for. Because I think we live in a day and age where, in social media and all like the fast things of life, it's very easy for us to live mindlessly and only realize like down the line that, hey, I don't even know what I've been doing. I don't even understand what are the things that influence some of my emotions or the decisions that I make. I'm just literally going on vibes, and that's an unfortunate way to live. And take it from me, best believe I know what I'm talking about. And I just think for me, I'm just in a very reflective place in my life that I'm very grateful for, because like I said again, if those challenges and trials hadn't come along the way, would I have that perspective? You know what I'm saying? I think it's just very important for us to be mindful and ask ourselves and be reflective people who can just sit down with ourselves and ask ourselves the question of, okay, what is it that influences me? What is it that drives my decision making? What is it that drives some of the thoughts and the emotions and the conversations that I have, and even the people that are around me, because I feel like sometimes, we just so mindlessly move around life that we also don't recognize the gifts of the people that are around us, and I think it's so great and amazing to come across I've been so blessed and graced to come across people who have shown me different perspectives and different ways of viewing life in a way that is challenging, yet that pushes you to be a better person. At the end of the day, sometimes we hate that correction. We hate being in a place where we feel little, but being taught is not is not something that makes you weak. Contrary to popular belief, correction is not something that should make us look weak, but in the society that we live in, once again, it makes us feel as though if we don't have certain things solved, or we don't have certain things figured out, or we don't know them for ourselves without being taught, then you're not good enough, or you're not worthy of. It just makes you look less than, but at the end of the day, I think the real bravery it comes in being a person who's constantly teachable, having the teachable spirit, and not being a person who gets to a point where you feel like you know everything. Even when you think you know a lot, there's more to know. Every day you're learning, every day the things to find out and figure out. I think one example for me is, when you read the word of God, sometimes you feel like, okay, I've read this before, but there are different perspectives and revelations that can be brought to you even through reading the same thing over and over again. And I think that also goes with many other aspects and areas in life. I think that's just been on my mind. And another thing is the fact that last night I started a book called The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd read this book before, just a bit of it, but I think this is the right time, for me to read it. And I was just inspired from the first few pages, And that's something I'd also encourage us, guys, like be people who are learned in terms of outside of maybe if you're a person who goes to school or a person who does certain things because you're supposed to do them. I just think that you should really learn to start finding joy in actually learning new things and actually discovering new things, about different things. I just feel like for me, reading has just been a real challenge, intellectually, but it's also been so stimulating in a way that, I just feel smart. And not only that, I just feel like I'm learning things about things. And even though I may not completely agree with some of the belief systems and things that are held in, some authors, like I may not agree with everything that they say, and I think that's the beauty of actually like learning these things, because sometimes when you go to school you don't completely agree with everything that is said, but it's about the learning and also taking those things in and not making them change the value systems and things that you hold, because nothing can ever make me change what I believe in. But I just feel like it's important for us to broaden the horizon of our understanding, and just be people who are actually willing to learn and willing to, just willing to learn about things and be intellectually stimulated rather than technologically stimulated, digitally stimulated all the time, Let us find things that are outside of, the norm, our phones and all of these things that we can actually, find, find joy in, not joy per se, but find, things that you can enjoy. So that's been on my mind, and I'm just excited to see where the book goes and all of that stuff. But what else has been on B's mind? Just, just talking about growth again and like healing and just becoming a better person in society. I think I'm just on this journey where I recognize that I can't, change anything about my community, rather than, I can, but I think we neglect the importance of also changing ourselves, because if we don't change ourselves, then we're really just not walking the walk and talking the talk, and we have a facade up, and we're just, I just want to run away from being a person who like is hypocritical, at a point of, I'm at a point where I'm just recognizing that in as much as you can say all these lovely things and sound good and all of this and motivational, but it's important to also be talking the talk and walking the walk yourself, and growing. I'm also just genuinely going through like growing pains, because some of the challenges and the things that you discover along the way about yourself, or about the person that you're trying to run away maybe from being, because daily, once again, we're trying to implement these things that can make us be better and show up as better people in our communities, as better friends, as better daughters, whatever it is, granddaughters. I think for me, had some of those challenges. Once again, I always say, had some of those challenges that I think I've passed through, those growing pains, had never happened, I think I wouldn't have the growing perspective that I'm having. Some things were avoidable, but I just think that, instead of wallowing in certain pities and all of that, we have that opportunity to view those things as chances to be better, where you can actually look back and the people around you can also see the change and the growth. Like, this person is actually implementing things to show up as, that's why I think I'm saying again, I think the emphasis is just on the being a reflective person, I think sometimes I just never really wanted to be the person who talks to a therapist, because in my head I'm thinking, you want to know my business, you want to go and be telling people my business, so how can I beg, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again. You know what I'm saying? But it's not that case. Those people are there to help you, you know. And I just think that it's very important for us to be people who are reflective. I once saw somewhere that, you know, we want to be better people so that our children don't have to spend their lives going to therapy for, you know, the kind of people that we were. And, you know, I think it's also important to have grace with our parents and the people who came before us, because those people are doing this thing for the first time as well, and they're just human, just like us. And I think having that grace is so important, even with the people around us. You know, accountability mixed with grace, mixed with all of these things, I think it goes a long way. And the reason I say that thing about the parents is, you know, I think all the time on social media, people talking very negatively about, like, you know, some of the households they've grown in. And granted, you know, and I'm really sorry to anyone who has ever experienced that. But I also just want to give us a new, fresh perspective of, you know, some of those people, some of our parents go through certain things that we ourselves don't even understand, things that they went through even in their own parents' hands, you know, things that were never intentional. But, you know, those conversations are conversations that are important to have, granted. We cannot run away from that. But I just think that let's extend grace to other people. We don't know what people are suffering with. We don't know what people are going through. Things that they do not talk about. One of my friends the other day, we were having a conversation on the phone, and she was talking about how, you know, I don't want, it's so unfair how, she was just mentioning this quote of, it's so unfair how you basically laugh with me, but you don't allow me in when it comes to your sadness. Yeah, something along the lines of, you let me in when we're laughing and all of that stuff and having, you know, a good time and we're in a moment of joy, but you don't let me in. It's so unfair how you don't let me in your pain and all of those things, and I want to be there with you. So I think sometimes we rob the people who love us of the opportunity to be there for us, and it's difficult. It's a learning process, and I think especially when you don't want to feel like a burden. But then again, it's just, I think, that thing of, again, unlearning certain ideals, unlearning certain perspectives, and allowing yourself to trust, you know, because I think for me in the past, I've, you know, unintentionally not trusted, because, you know, I just feel like, you know, these things are maybe going to be used against me, or these things are going to, you know, they not, if I tell you something, if I open up, you're not going to understand it in the way that, you know, I'm trying to express myself, or the way that it pains me. You know, when you show someone something and they don't reflect the same excitement, it's that kind of thing, you know. What I'm realizing is you can't truly protect yourself from people who love you. You know, the same with God. Sometimes we think in our relationship with him, we're hiding things or protecting ourselves from him. But when someone genuinely loves you, you cannot really protect yourself from them, because there's nothing about you that scares them. There's nothing about you that makes them feel like, let me take a step back. You know, obviously we can't compare the love of God with the love of human beings, because the love of God is agape love, you know, and it's just that much, that big, you know. But I just think it's like a little example and glimpse of that. And I think also just, you know, again, with the growing pains that comes is the struggle of, like, forgiving yourself. You know, it's so easy to forgive others, but it's very difficult to forgive yourself of certain things. And I think I'm just going through a process of letting that go, because at the end of the day, you know, when you bring those things on the table, and you're just really, I think it's very difficult for a person who carries that burden of, I think what I'm trying to say is the fact that, like, you know, in the growing pains, the pains, it's not just about, like, the growth of, okay, I'm becoming a different person, I'm learning new things, I'm being challenged in this way, I'm being stretched, but it's that thing again of struggling to actually let go of the past versions of you, you know, and actually coming to terms with certain accountabilities, yet also the balance of letting it go. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a tough place to be in, but I also think that you can't do it single-handedly. I think with the help of God, those things are possible, and with the help of your community, and actually voicing those things, having those conversations instead of dying in silence, you know, and I'm talking to myself as well, because some of these things I'll be keeping to myself, because I'm just like, sure, only God knows now, only God knows. But it's like, no, express yourself. Stop robbing the people who love you of the opportunity to be there for you.
Hey, you guys, this is Pilani from the future, editing this now, and I realized that I didn't do an outro. I just finished off the conversation. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to like, share, comment, as well as subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video, or you will see me, God willingly.